The story begins with a blonde girl with red eyes stating she cannot do this anymore, she has had enough. She begs anyone to save her. The scene then cuts to a blonde girl waking up to the sunlight. She is greeted by a maid who calls her Princess Charlotte. The maid comments that she's not sleeping in today. Princess Charlotte mumbles to herself she must get up or else she won't live to see another day. The maid calls her name with a worried expression. She reveals that no one in the palace cares about her and even her own father neglects her. She tries to comfort her by reminding her she's a princess. She says they should pray together. The maid's name is Cosette. She always takes good care of Charlotte, the princess of the Olent Empire. Well, she's not really the princess, but got transported to that world. In her previous life she had lost the will to survive, so she fell off the highest building she could find. But that's when she heard a voice. It asked if she wishes to find meaning in her life. It granted her a reason to carry on. Someone then exclaimed, "Save me." When she opened her eyes, she was Charlotte, the princess of Olent. When she first arrived she was panicking, but everyone treated her as if she were crazy. So now she's just playing along as Princess Charlotte. Which is a relief to Cosette because she almost fainted when she started acting strange, but she's very happy that she's better and attending parties. However, she still needs to recall her royal manners, but the doctors have assured them that she'll be back to normal in no time. She has been trying to find the source of the voice, but she hasn't found anyone that needs saving yet. The palace is very peaceful and the entire empire has been blessed by the Lord Olent. So for hundreds of years there has been no war. Charlotte asked Cosette if there is no magic in the country. Cosette is shocked. Cosette exclaimed she should be glad that no one's around to hear. She mustn't say such cursed words. Once upon a time there was a wizard in that world. Who desires the throne? He placed the empire in turmoil using his dark magic. Fortunately, the wizard was defeated by his elder brother. And the Olent Empire found peace once again. Magic is taboo in that country. It isn't talked about because it's a horrendous subject. The maid states she must never ever bring that subject up again. Charlotte turns her head and states she understands and apologizes. Cosette leaves the room and tells her to call, if she needs anything. Although magic is a curse, surprisingly Charlotte has powers which cannot be explained. The power of fire. The scene changed to a group of ladies taunting Charlotte for wearing a dress that they believe is not worthy of the prince's ball. The little brat is called Yvetta. She's a daughter of the Marquis. She never misses a chance to belittle Charlotte. Charlotte is a princess, but she's so impudent. For them to shame her in such a public place, she can only imagine what the real Charlotte must have gone through. Prince Andrew intervenes and tells them that's enough. His sister must have had her reasons. The fangirls go into full uproar exclaiming it's an honor to be in his presence. Prince Andrew is Charlotte's little brother. He mockingly states he's aware that bold pieces of jewelry are in style these days. But surely that isn't the reason why his sister came with a bare neck. She had noticed everyone wearing a huge piece of rocks around their necks. But if it's in trend, she wonders why Cosette didn't give her a necklace. She feels dejected and turns to leave. Yvetta calls her audacious for turning her back on them. Andrew informs them she's been like that ever since she fainted a few days ago. Yvetta states if she was like before, she would have been in tears. She has claimed she doesn't want to waste her energy on her anymore. The prince comforts her by saying they should ignore such silly trivialities. The reason for Charlotte's disrespect was because she was born as a princess. But her father disregarded her due to her odd character. Everyone, even the servants, looked down on her. Her own family saw her as an embarrassment. Nobody cared for her. She wonders who she's supposed to save in such a peaceful kingdom. As she's enjoying her strawberry cake, a maid is suddenly attacked in the neck by an undead. Charlotte fork falls from her hand. her heart pounds loud and intensely. She tries to comprehend what's happening. Suddenly the injured maid gets up. The palace goes into an uproar. Charlotte thinks it's impossible that zombies would be there. Meanwhile the people run away as they are attacked. At that moment we have our brave and handsome prince, protecting his girl with a sword. He exclaims, "Don't take another step closer." Ivecta states, "That's not a monster, he's your uncle." He states, "What kind of nonsense is she talking about?" Suddenly he remembers the times when his uncle would comfort him and tell him not to cry. Because he's meant for greater things, he's on the verge of tears. He can't believe that monster is his uncle. He had always treated him like his own son. He can't do it. He can't attack his uncle. He closes his eyes preparing for the end. At that moment Charlotte attacks him with an iron fist attack. Andrew falls to the ground and Iveta looks surprised. Her face is bloodied. She begins to laugh hysterically. This is her reason to carry on with life. Her real name is Jaya Lee. She was the sole survivor of the world overrun by zombies. And once again she'll survive to the end. The story cuts to a scene where she's crying. She's telling a man not to give out on her. He tells her he's sorry and she must survive. She wondered what was the reason to survive in a world like that. So she ended it herself. Andrew pushes her against the wall exclaiming, "What has she done to their uncle?" He states he was like a father to them. She remains quiet. She plans on surviving to find out who's behind all that. She tells Andrew she should have left him to meet his demise. A chill goes down his spine. She turns away stating she's done with her act. Now that her life is on the line, but first she needs to get herself out of that mess. Zombies came in from the main entrance. It would be fair to say the first floor is swarmed by now. The other exit is on the second floor. Thankfully it hasn't been overtaken by zombies yet. She runs towards her destination. A zombie is in her path. She hits it in the neck with a fork, but the fork was destroyed. Iveta with a trembling voice asked if the prince is going to protect her. He ignores her and states that the girl he sees cannot be his sister. The Charlotte that he knows is shy and timid. Everyone in the palace looks down on her and sees her as Princess Charlotte the loser. Charlotte then takes his sword without him even realizing. However, it's too heavy for Charlotte's body. The arrogant brother tells her to give it back because it's for his upcoming ceremony and it's a national treasure. She states he can't even swing it properly. He tries to make excuses but she tells him to keep it down. Since there's plenty to feast on, that bought them some time, but zombies are attracted to loud noises. A zombie appears behind her. Iveta screams, "Behind you." She skillfully turns and slashes the zombie. She reveals she has seen people like him before who aren't any help and only get in the way. She calls him dead weight. She inquired if Andrew has anything else that she can use. He reveals that his sister has never touched a sword because she said it was barbaric. So there should be no way she should be able to do that. He shouts who is she. She says in a threatening tone he never learns. His outburst has attracted a horde. He is petrified and Charlotte informs them they must go upstairs. She tells them to smash the brain and piercing their eyes will stall them. The idiot loudly asked how does she know all that. She tells him if he wishes to know then he must survive. He takes up his sword and states he doesn't plan on ending his life today. He tells her not to meet her end either. He must know where his sister is. She tells him fine. Meanwhile Iveta is crying thinking stop blabbering and get her out of here. He tells Iveta to stay close to him. She runs towards him happily. She knew that he would keep her safe. When she gets home she plans to take a warm bath, treat herself to dinner and delicious desserts. However, Charlotte grabs her gown and tells her to be quiet. Iveta ignores her and tells her to let go. She wants to go with the prince. Charlotte tells her they need to save the people at the banquet hall. Iveta states they can't save them. when they can barely save themselves. There is nothing they can do, she exclaims. They should have figured out a way to escape like they did. They scream loudly for help, but she ignores them, saying it's their fault and she won't meet her demise in trying to save someone else. But Charlotte has seen people like her before, people who only care about themselves and nothing else. Charlotte tells her she's right, they can't look after someone else in that situation. She wished the mister would have been as selfish as she was. She remembers his words of saying life would be easier that way, but that's what makes them human. Otherwise, how are they different from monsters? She attacks a zombie in the face and smile. She tells Iveta she misunderstood, but she doesn't have a choice. She orders her to grab as many plates and forks as she can. Iveta tries to persuade her, saying they're not sure the method will work. Charlotte reminds her that people are meeting their demise. Charlotte smiles and asks her to trust her. She agrees. Meanwhile, Andrew is fighting a horde of zombies that seems never ending. He wonders where they came from. Charlotte backs up Andrew. She tells Andrew she'll take care of the zombies and he must escort Iveta to the stairs. Iveta ties the tablecloth together and hang it up the handrail. They tell Charlotte that they're finished. To their astonishment, all the zombies have been vanquished in the blink of an eye. Charlotte takes the fork and plates and tells her when she gives her the signal she should start. There's only one staircase, the second floor, so they will have to ascend the second floor and block the staircase. Charlotte then shouts if they want to live, run to the central staircase immediately. She unraveled the tablecloth and throws out its containment on the ground. After that, the prince drags the cloth and everyone runs under it. Suddenly a woman screams that her child is down there, but no one is willing to help. Charlotte hears his screams. She wants to help but thinks there's nothing she can do. A female zombie approaches the child. She jumps down, knocking it out. The prince goes towards them, trying to save his sister. Iveta tells him to wait, as a zombie then appears in front of his face. She pulls him back, saving his life. The sheet holding the zombies back is close to being destroyed. Iveta tells him his sister isn't the only person he should be taking care of. She reminds him of his people. He remembers a time his father asked him the duty of royalty. He says to make their empire full of fun and surprises. His father states the answer is if he gives up on the people there will be no empire nor royalty. Therefore their job is to protect the people of Holland. He had promised that he would protect the people of Holland no matter what. He grits his teeth and orders them to go to the exit on the second floor and to help anyone who is injured. He tells Iveta to stay close to him. That's what Iveta wanted, that's why she stuck around all the time. She believes it's his duty to protect her. She wouldn't want him to meet his end saving the princess. Andrew believed due to his sister's extensive knowledge of what was happening she must have a plan. However, she has no idea what to do. If the zombies are the one that she's familiar with, they won't move quickly as long as she doesn't trigger them with loud noises. If she attacks them in the eyes, she can pave her way out of their sight. But can she make her way out with a child? At that moment a dark-haired guy with a blood-stained sword is covered in blood, surrounded by zombies' bodies. Charlotte bravely attacks all the zombies in her path. The child sees a zombie overwhelmed by fear. He grips her clothes, stating he's scared. She loses her footing and falls to the ground. She can't move. She believed that's how she will meet her end. Suddenly a flying sword hits the zombie in the head. She stares at the man in shock. He is so familiar, she has seen him somewhere before. Her eyes slowly begin to form tears. It's Jeho. He was a man that lied all the time and he had fooled a lot of people with his lies. She tells him to be honest and tell her his real age. He tells her 32, but she doesn't believe he's in his 30s. She was always with him despite how many times they argued. Everyone who saw them knew they got along very well. She never believed that he was in his 30s because he was so cute. As Charlotte stared at his face, she wondered what if the person who brought her into this world somehow brought him over too. And the unexplainable power brought him back to life. She is then attacked by a zombie. It tries to bite her, but she grabbed its arm and aimed it at his mouth. The guy then attacked the zombie from above. He tells her to get up. She tells him she's sorry she couldn't keep her promise. She brought her HP to 0 even after he sacrificed us to save her. He gets annoyed and picks her up. He tells her he's going to need a ton of answers from her. She wipes a tear from her eyes and informs him they need to get to the second floor. He had massacred the zombies and she thinks he's amazing for taking care of all of them by himself, while all she could do was stab at their eyes and stop them from moving. At that time Iveta is blocking the door. Andrew asked if she's trying to leave Charlotte to meet her demise. Sometime earlier the nobles rush inside the room. Iveta tells the prince to close the door as monsters will flood in. And that's exactly what he did. A noblewoman begged them to open the door. Her son is still outside. A nobleman states she's being too selfish because she's not the only one that has lost family. Some of them are injured. How does she expect them to escape? He asked if her child is worth every single life in the room. They call her selfish and says if she's so concerned she should go get herself put in the grave. Andrew shouts enough. He tells them they're no different from the monsters. The noblewoman tells Andrew to move, she'll get him herself. She doesn't care if she meets her demise as long as she can get her son. Iveta finds her annoying. She's been getting help from other people all the time. It's not like they threw her son amongst the monsters. No one would risk their lives in a situation like that. Everyone's doing what they can to survive. Iveta understands that she's a mother, but that doesn't give her the right to blame everyone there. She is happy that she's willing to go by herself. However, Iveta is not comfortable with opening the door. Even though it's quiet outside, indicating that the cloth is still holding back the zombies. Iveta folds her arms and stares at the prince. She blames the prince for not getting everyone out. She thinks he's pathetic, but her though is interrupted by a sudden outburst. She feels a wave of anxiety wash over her, causing her to twitch. He goes towards the door and states he'll bring back Charlotte and the noblewoman's son. Suddenly Iveta blocks his path. Iveta exclaims, what does he think he's doing? Going back to the horde of monsters. Does he even have a plan to save his sister and the child? What if he dies? Iveta thinks to herself, who's going to protect her then? Andrew is touched by her words. He never knew she cared about him so much. He holds her shoulder and states he understands her concern. But he needs answer to who she is. He realized Charlotte knew a lot about the monsters, more than anyone. So he's sure she's still alive. He smiles and tells her not to worry. Iveta glances at him with dark eyes empty of emotion and thinks he's going on a mission of no return. She clenches her fist. She's tired of the arrogant royals and upset that she has to stick to such a useless fool to save herself. Iveta exclaims she won't move an inch. He asked if she's leaving his sister to die. As they argue, the desperate mother watches in worry. Andrew exclaims they don't have time. Iveta cuts him off and asked when did he actually cared about his sister. Andrew is shocked. He never cared if she was mistreated. He never stood up for her and always went along with everyone else. So it makes sense why Iveta doesn't understand why he's trying to save her. In fact, she thought he hated her. Andrew becomes light-headed and grips his chest while murmuring to himself. He can't remember. When did he? Suddenly loudly banging is heard from the door. They turn and look at the door. Panic. The nobles scream and panic. They believe it's the zombies. Andrew thinks Charlotte has died and his legs become weak. The mother rushed towards him and asked what about her child. Iveta feels at ease. She thinks it's best they don't have any strains of hope. Without warning, a sword pierces through the door, inches away from Iveta's face. Iveta jumps to the side from the shock. A hole is left from the sword. A red eye is shown through the hole and Charlotte exclaims, "Open the door." Andrew pushed Iveta away and opens the door. Iveta wondered how they survive the horde of monsters. She wonders if the one who can protect her isn't the prince. When she sees the guy battling zombies in order to close the door, she is terrified. He's Adam Stram. She wonders why he's there when he wasn't invited to the party. She wonders if he helped the princess survive, however she doesn't believe that's possible. Charlotte gasped for air. She made it to the second floor just as the barricade collapsed. She thought they were done for, because the door wasn't opening. However, Adam pierced his sword through the door and slashed a zombie in the process. The hole he created saved their lives, although she's furious they locked the door.